They lost? Wait.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Oh, welcome in, everybody. It
Nice.
is, it's back to the comforting days of losing Bears football. I mean, we got that reprieve with the one W that broke the 14 game losing streak, but they were unable to break the now 10 game home losing streak, 11 game divisional losing streak, and now 5 games to the Minnesota Vikings.
I saw a stat. They haven't won in Chicago in like 400 days. It's like, oh my God, how depressing is this franchise?
Very.
I really thought they turned the corner. I thought, 2 weeks in a row, I kind of likened it back to last year, that 6 game stretch, right, where the offense looked competent. I'm like, okay, this is this year's version of that, but it's, there's better talent. So I thought
Yeah.
it would be something, and no, it's not. Now it's just right back to the same old crap again. And oh well, that's. I
One
think we should.
target for DJ Moore in the first half.
Oh, I saw that. I was just, come on, what are we
It's
doing
fun.
here?
Yeah, it's fun. Right when we think we got things figured out.
Yeah, I think we should get this thing started because we're already depressed over the whole thing, and this is supposed to be the balance show, and it's not already there. So,
All right. So for you that are watching before we start the podcast, I am on the road. I'm in a hotel. Obviously, it's not my normal background. And so the internet goes out, Lester's going to cover. And if my sound's not perfect, because I did not bring my microphone to the East Coast. I brought my webcam, though. So hopefully it's not too bad. And we will get rocking here.
sounds good to me.
Just a second. Welcome to Bear and Balance. I'm Jeff Burkus, a writer for Windy City Gridiron, and I'm joined by the editor of that fine website, Lester A. Wiltfong Jr. Lester, the Bears get back to their losing ways, extending a lot of losing streaks, like home losing streaks, division losing streaks to the Minnesota Vikings. But other than all of those losing streaks, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I can't complain. It's I think a couple weeks ago we talked about the weather in our open. The weather's not bad. A lot of rain over the weekend, but us Midwesterners, that's when there's nothing else going on good. And the Bears are not going on good. It's weather talk. You are in where now? You're on the road. So where are you at exactly?
I am in our nation's capital, the site of the last Bears win.
Oh man.
So as there is that connection. So on an East Coast trip, we're here for the week. I was in Connecticut on Saturday and finished a half marathon in my 34th state and happened to break my personal best. So
man.
I'm winning. I'm feeling
You're
good.
Yeah.
But not so much for our favorite football team. But why don't we just launch into this, because it's going to be a tough one because they looked like garbage. So we start off every show by starting in the trenches. So for a trench tribute this week, maybe not as much to choose from as there was last week, but what'd you come up with?
I like the game from Jatiri Carter. He was forced into action. Nate Davis had the high ankle sprain. He got kind of rolled up on, which you hate to see because Nate Davis has been playing pretty good the last couple of weeks. He really has come back over his personal issues that he had to get over. Looked good, but Jatiri Carter, a lot of experience in the offseason, a lot of experience in the regular season, stepped in and, played pretty good. And, Nate Davis's, I think it was a 2 or 3 year deal, but whatever it was, Jatiri Carter, whoever's coaching next year, Carter's going to be part of this team. He looks like a keeper here. So kudos to Ryan Poles for plucking a guy like Carter late in the draft last year.
Oh, you remember that Carter was the guy that they kept on the active roster all year, even though he didn't really see much action, maybe a little bit late in the year. But they kept him over their other late draft pick in the interior offensive line that went a little higher.
Yeah.
And he got plucked off of the practice squad, and a lot of people are like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" They liked Carter more from the start, and I think he's showing you why. He was actually mine too.
Nice.
Again, like saw some good buzz pop from him post game. Went back and watched the game again, watched the snaps, looked good. And like you said, he's going to get some extended action now. So this is a guy that we can watch get some starts. It sounds like Nate Davis has a high ankle sprain, so that's generally a multi-week injury, particularly for a big guy, that's something that might be tough to come back from just because of all the weight bearing that they have to do. They have to make sure that they're able to fully have that healed because you can't push a guy with a high ankle sprain. So he could be out for a significant amount of time, and that opens up an opportunity to get some reps for a guy like Carter. So you get an extended audition, out of him and see what he can do. So I think it's a good pick. We're both on the same page. So again, you and I are on the same page. We're on
We
midseason
are.
form. Again, our favorite football team may not be.
Yeah.
Why don't we go to the tweet of the week? Let's move right along.
Let's move right along this week. Yeah.
Tweet of the week. I'm going to start with mine. So I highlighted our good friend Ken Mitchell, who does a great job running the Bears Den, and he's at WCG Bears Den Dude. He says it's not that they are bad, they are very bad. It's that they are bad in a way that isn't even fun to watch. I mean, if they were bad but showing growth, that would be one thing. This year, they are just bad and showing bad. I've used the word bad 7 times now. My bad. It's kind of like you run out of ways to describe this team and on this era. And I have some more Flus era stuff coming in this show. But I think Ken sort of captures it pretty well, where you're so like flabbergasted by what's happening that all of the words just kind of escape you, and you just kind of come back to one thing, and you're just like, this team's just bad.
Yeah.
And so it's really just kind of distilled down to the feeling of the fan base. I think right now is just one of frustration and just one of like, ugh, they're just bad.
Dan Bernstein, who does been with the Score for a long time in Chicago, the AM radio station, he had a thing called Fun Bad that he would always talk about years ago, and it was a thing where it was like it was so bad, but they were doing things in such a comically bad way. It was actually, it's fun to watch. Not necessarily playing good, just bad. This team is just not that at all. It's depressing. It's boring. It's typical, and it's like pathetic. Just like we talked on the open a little bit, our pre-show, like Luke Getsy goes back to the stuff he did earlier that was just like not working at all. It's almost like he just brought the same game plan from week 1, week 2 in here to the game against the Vikings after having some success, after having the extra time to prepare because you played on Thursday nights. It's just, this is the best they could do. It's sad to see how bad, there it is again, how bad this team is just operates.
We should mention that we titled the show inspired by our friend Bears Girl from Twitter, and she had put out a tweet about I don't even know, some dating show,
some reality show.
Yeah. I read it, and 75% of her tweets are about the Bears, and I assumed that it was about the Bears, and so I commented as such. But it was what a boring, lame, ridiculous waste of a season. I believe was her comment. I thought that pretty much sums it up, right? And I think you're right. I've always said if you can't be good, at least be entertaining. And so there's been players that are fun to watch. So even if you're bad, you've got fun players that you're watching and you're cheering for. And this team does have some players that I like to watch. And so don't get me wrong there. Those guys are there. But so often they're forgotten about, even though they're clearly the best weapon that you have. They're put in a position where they can't succeed. And so it's just not fun. There's nothing fun about this bad team.
What makes it even less fun is because at least last year we knew the plan. That's the rebuild. They're going to tear that down to the studs, and they're just going to play the young guys, and they're going to try and see what they got. And that's what they sold the fans on. This was supposed to be okay, we'll take another step this year. We're not going to be a title contender this year, but we're going to take a step. They took a step backwards. This team looks worse. They look less prepared. I just don't know what's going on. And it's like, are we already at the point now, 6 games in the season, that it's already thinking about a redo again?
You ever see a place that had been around for a while, no one had, like a building that no one had been in for a while, it's kind of in rough shape, and then they like tear it down, demo, right? You're like, great, that's
Yeah.
awesome, right? Like they're gonna build something, and then like it just remains an empty lot for like 5 years. That's kind of what this feels like. We're like, oh great, we're gonna see what's gonna go in here, and it's great, and then like nothing happens, and it's like, well, I guess we didn't have the eyesore, but now there's just nothing there, so that's not really fun either. So yeah, it's just it's bad.
It's bad.
What about you? What do you got?
Brad Biggs, of course, a longtime beat writer for the Chicago Tribune. If Tyson Bagent starts Sunday against the Raiders at Soldier Field, he will become the Bears' 29th starting quarterback since 2000. That's just a sad number. I'm not even sure if that's the worst. I know the Browns have had some issues
Browns.
at quarterback, but 29 starting quarterback since 2000. It's just, and it sounds like it will be the Tyson Bagent show because, Fields has a dislocated thumb, no surgery, but, he can't grip a football still. They're going to try and see what they can do with some rehab, but I'm guessing they're going to shut him down for at least a game here. So it'll be Tyson Bagent, 29th starting quarterback since 2000. I guess we can get kind of excited for the newness of, hey, let's see what Bagent can do. It'll be a fun story if he has some success. But I'm not expecting much out of Tyson Bagent.
I mean, do you want to talk about Bagent here? Do you want to talk about Bagent in the Fields report?
Let's hold it.
Let's hold it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have some more. There's something fun coming. I think. I hope.
I hope. All right. Caught up in a numbers game. Let's move on to that. I mean, I don't have much to say about starting quarterback number 29 since 2000. Besides that, 29 is more than the number of years since the year 2000, so that's not good.
Yeah.
Like generally, you want that number to at least be lower than that.
Yeah.
Caught up in a numbers game. I'll start off. My stat of the week is 174. That is the win percentage of the Matt Eberflus era. Do you know the coach before Eberflus? That's the worst winning percentage in team history. Do you know the coach that owns the second worst winning percentage in team history now?
I'll know when you say it.
It's Abe Gibron.
Abe Gibron. Okay, yeah.
Abe Gibron has the record and has had it for a long time now. John Fox was flirting with that record, but he won a few games to put him over the top. Abe Gibron has a 274 win percentage. Okay, so here's the thing.
This is going to be bad.
Let's assume that Matt Eberflus finishes out year 2 of his coaching career with the Chicago Bears. But let's assume that he's done after this year. Matt Eberflus would have to go 6-5 in the remaining 11 games to avoid being the worst head coach in team history. 6-5. He has to win more than half of his remaining games for him to avoid displacing Abe Gibron, who was widely known as the worst coach in team history. It's not going to happen. He's going to leave Chicago as the worst coach in team history. Like I see zero chance of him winning 6 of the last 11 games. So I don't know how bad it's going to get, right? I don't know if that 174 mark is going to get higher or lower by the end, but I feel pretty confident in saying that he will finish as the worst Bears head coach ever.
6-5 finish would give him 7 wins in this year, which is what some of us thought we'd have a chance for, flirting with 7 wins, 8 wins. That from a 3-win team last year, that would be improvement. But they're not going about it the right way. Things are so bad and so discombobulated offensively. It's just such a Bears thing where here's the defense now that's been talked about all year has been bad. They have a fantastic performance. They only allowed 220 yards total against the Vikings. They got a turnover. They think they held them to 2 third-down conversions the whole game. But the offense does nothing to pull it off. It's just such a Bears thing to have, not having a whole team game. The special teams looked okay, the defense looked okay, but nothing from the offense.
Yeah, bad.
My number's a little more exciting here.
Okay,
my number's 46.2, and that is the career yards per punt average from Trenton Gill, and that is the highest in Chicago Bears history among punters that have more than just a handful of punts here and there. Number 2 on that list is Pat O'Donnell. We all know Pat O'Donnell. And then number 3 on that list is from the 1940s and 50s, George Gillianix.
Yeah, I
Did
don't know how
say
to
it
say the
right?
name either, but I recognize it. Yes,
Yeah, so Trenton Gill, the guillotine,
the guillotine.
number 1 all time Bears history with a 46.2 punting average.
Well, I have to tell you guys, very
Here it is.
excited. I went to look at Trenton Gill's Pro Football Reference page today because that's what I do. I go and look at player Pro Football Reference pages all the time, and I just wanted to see what Gill's stats were, what they look like compared to last year. Totally independent of Lester bringing it up. I wanted to kind of see where he was at, and I noticed that Pro Football Reference now uses the guillotine as his official nickname, which that is the paper of record, so to speak, when it
Yeah.
comes to nicknames. I did not send them the information to say, hey, would you consider this nickname? And now I have done that for other players where I've come across things in the past, but I thought that was it would be a little I didn't even think about it, but
Yeah.
I thought that would be self-serving. Like, I coined this nickname. I'm not going to try to get it on like that. That did not happen.
It's a little too
But
much. Yeah.
it is now on the page. And so it is an official nickname. I know that Gil is familiar with it because he had that tweet a while ago with the t-shirt. He seemed excited about the t-shirt. Maybe we should try to see if we can get him one. Maybe we can talk to our 500 level buddies and see if they can send the Bears one and see if that can make its way to that. But it's just to celebrate the official nickname christening by Pro Football Reference. So yeah, you know what? At some point, it won't be anytime soon, but at some point, I'll go in and I will do that full analysis that I did early last year on his punts versus the historical averages, and I'll see how he's doing. I had revisited that a little bit, and I actually was surprised that he was above average early on in his career, and it sounds like he's kind of sticking with that mark right now. But I'll go back and I'll remap those and I'll do the calculation and crunch that out to see how he's doing at some point. It won't happen anytime soon, but we'll do some guillotine stuff at some point. Again, you gotta get excited where you can get excited, right?
We had so much cool stuff planned with our partners at the 500
Really
level.
did.
I mean, we had some nice shirts in the off season that they had introduced, and we had a few more on the back burner we're waiting on. And when the Bears suck, it's like that's not fun. I have no interest even like do it because it's just like like this. I'm wearing my Bears hat today, the B&B Bear and Balance, but I don't wear it. It's like, come on, dude, just like get some wins. Do something to make me proud to be a Bears fan. Don't just go out there and lay an egg every week. So
It's hard to sell Bear shirts with when they're rocking a 174 winning percentage, right?
oh, it's terrible.
Okay. All right. Let's get into this. Justin Fields report. So Fields goes 6 for 10 for 58 yards. Brutal. He did not have a touchdown pass, threw an interception, took 4 sacks, lost 18 yards on those sacks, ran 8 times for 46 yards. So overall, not a good day,
No.
and looked a lot like week 1, where there was just indecision. And I think what was shocking to me was that you had 10 days and you knew that the Vikings and Brian Flores they're going to come after you. And the first play, you spread it out. You've got 5 in the pattern, and Flores sends 6, and Justin Fields locks up and takes a huge hit. That was, to me, that there you go. You only needed to see play 1.
Yeah.
Because
that set the tone for the whole day, right?
It set the tone, right? So he doesn't recognize that he needs to get rid of that ball fast. He doesn't check to see if that guy's coming. At some point, you have to either say, hey, okay, I got to make that guy miss, right, and I got to get out on the edge or whatever you're going to do here, or you got to get that ball out of your hands in no time. He doesn't do that, and so that set the tone. That was it, man. Like, and all day it was like that. The snapping didn't help things. I know we've talked about that plenty of times. The snapping did not help things at times. It blew up plays before they really got going. But there's really just no excuse as an offensive coordinator to have a lack of plan, as protection to not account for that, or knowing that if you're going to turn a guy loose, that you got to hit a hot, or you've got to make some crazy athletic move that he's more than capable of doing. One of those sacks that he took was one of the more insane things I've seen, because he's running away from the guy and then he kind of turns back into him to kind of see where he's at. That was
Yeah.
weird, right? That was kind of one of those like, oh, I think he's maybe lost his mojo here. He's not feeling it. He's expecting to get hit.
Yeah.
And there was another play where I thought, watching, and I know this isn't a fair comparison, but at some point it actually is, because you have to give Fields the same level of respect as some of these top flight quarterbacks if he's going to get there. But you watch Josh Allen and you watch Mahomes, and I know those guys are the dudes, but those guys start scrambling and they still keep their eyes downfield.
Yeah.
And the number of times I saw Allen run towards the line of scrimmage and then float one. Now, a lot of times in that game, he was not that good and he didn't connect, but he was still had his eyes downfield and he was trying to get the ball downfield to his playmakers. There was a few times that Fields could have done that, but he already had his eyes down and he was already running. Now, again, Justin Fields is special when he takes off, but he's just not doing those things to give himself a chance. And I think that's just all throughout the whole game.
He was seeing the field better the previous two games. He did not see the field very well today. He had a bad game, and my dog is trying to escape here. But if you hear that noise on the show there, but yeah, it was just rough because the stuff we did earlier, the previous two weeks, it was gone. It just wasn't there this time. I don't understand what the plays were. Fields, of course, had a bad game. It wasn't one of his better games by any means. But what was Getsy doing? Flores is going to blitz you. He's coming to get you. That's what he does. I saw the stat. It was like 70% or something, like some ridiculous number that they blitz Justin Fields and Tyson Bagent. It just kept happening. And so you come out. You're supposed to go max protect. You check release late. You make sure the protection is there first. Minnesota secondary is not very good. I like DJ Moore's chances all year, and this was the plan that they had for Justin Fields. It just was terrible.
They had 5 good plans to follow because Minnesota's defense has been torn up 5 weeks, right? They're not good. And so this is what you come out with. Like, it's like, again, we have so many examples of, you don't really know how to use your own players. You just sort of are living in your own bubble of what as an offensive play caller, and you're not stepping outside that. And then we're seeing like, hey, here's a blueprint here, and here. Are you going to incorporate any of that into your game? No, not going to do that.
No.
And it just seems so silly to me. That we why do we have to continue to watch this for another 11 games? All right, let's talk about Tyson Bagent.
Yeah.
So a lot of people pretty excited about Tyson Bagent, right? Like we heard some groundswell stuff. Now, again, cool story. Undrafted free agent, comes in, wins the backup job, like eventually gets elevated to be the direct backup. I think that's great. That's incredible. Like, I'm really excited about Tyson Bagent to see what he can develop into. But let's pump the brakes here, okay? So his first action, 10 of 14. Oh, great, right? Sounds good. 83 yards. That's a 5.9 yards per attempt. That's not very good. No touchdowns, 1 interception. Took a sack and lost the fumble. That is not a good game. 2 turnovers in less than 2 quarters of play. And I will say that 10 of 14, that's an okay completion percentage. There was a couple turnover worthy throws in there. Like, I mean, he was YOLO, man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he was chucking it with a popcorn gun arm. There's some stuff he got away with. And he's not going to get away with it all the time. And I was trying to think of a comparison, and again, he's super young. He can develop into something. Like, I'm not shooting this down. To me, this is like, I see a poor man's Gardner Minshew, and I like Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew's a top end backup, right? And then when he gets to start, sometimes he plays a great, perfect game. He's super accurate. He does not have a strong arm. he got exposed. Gardner Minshew, speaking, got exposed, three picks, but I think he threw for 300 yards, right?
Yeah.
So like there, it feels like a little bit like that where he has to play on time. He has to see the field perfect. He has to know what's happening. Like, and he has to get the ball out before receivers are out of their break because he doesn't have that arm to be able to get it in there. You can contrast that with someone like Fields who waits too long most of the time because he has an absolute laser that he can just fire it in there, right? So he gets away with things because he's had so much talent and he
Yeah.
hasn't had to anticipate in his life. And so I think you're going to see a very different game out of your Chicago Bears quarterback here than what you've seen out of Justin Fields. Some good and probably a lot of bad. Like I think that's kind of where I'm at. I think that there's a chance that the ceiling will never be as high. Okay, like let's just put that out there right now. The I think there's a tendency to want to say the floor is higher, but I don't think that's true because I think that if he's in a negative game script or if he has to try to make plays out of structure, if he's got to try to like be creative and throw downfield, you're going to see more ducks, particularly if the weather's not very good. I think the floor can fall out the bottom. That's where I'm at. Like again, he's young, he can develop into
Yeah.
something. I'm not trying to bag on him, but this is kind of scary. This could be bad, bad.
This could be like remember a few years back when I think all the Bears quarterbacks are hurt and they had to turn to was it Craig Krenzel? And they
Oh,
had to
sure.
turn to him
Many
as
years
a
ago. Yeah.
starter, and he had to start like several games for them, and they just won nothing because they just didn't have the arm talent, and that's where Bajan is. I don't think he has the arm talent right now. As far as like when you see him in field, so you can see the difference, clearly see the difference. But Bajent, what we did see in the game is some quicker decisions, and I think we're going to see a lot of quick game stuff because I forget who I saw, but someone on social media had a comment and said, sometimes your players that don't have as much, physical talent, they're forced to kind of do things a little quicker because that's just what they have to do to get by. So I think that's what Bajan will do. And there is part of me that's excited to see him play because it is a great story. Undrafted free agent out of Shepherd. I mean, who the hell would ever have thought that he would have a chance to be in the NFL? Now here he is. He wins the backup job in Chicago. He gets a chance. I think it's a great story, but sports talk radio in Chicago is going nuts. Some of the newspapers are going nuts. Like, like what are we doing? They're like ready to anoint this guy, and it's like, let's take a step back. Let's let him play. He's gonna suck. I mean, he sucked this last game. That's what young undrafted rookies do. That's what first round rookies do. They suck when they first play, so it's not expected for him to come in and be good. Again, it'll be a great story. It'll be fun to watch, and I think he will play a couple games here because it looks like Fields with the dislocation is going to miss some time. But let it play out, and ultimately, if there is a change to be made, if the Bears decide to blow it up and Fields is gone at the end of the year, I think Bacon's gone too because if you bring in your own rookie quarterback, are you going to want another guy that's inexperienced behind him, or are you going to want to bring in a guy that knows your scheme? And come in. Maybe Bacon's your QB3 next year, but I don't think he has a chance to be the guy. And he's definitely not going to be. He's not playing for a chance to be a starter through the NFL because one way or the other, if the Bears move on, they're getting a new quarterback in the first round.
Right. I mean, yeah, a lot going on with that, but we'll see. Well, you know what? Let's get a full game out of him.
We'll
Right.
see what happens.
Like
Yeah.
I don't like. I saw so much positive, and I have to think it's because he's an undrafted free agent, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, hey, they got this guy for free, and look, like he looks like he can throw the ball in the direction of wide receivers, right? Like I mean, like the expectation on his performance is so much lower than like, hey, we invested a ton of capital in this guy, and he's not this top end quarterback yet. So there's just a misalignment, I think, of expectations that I think people get pretty excited about. But I mean, if you're just looking at his football, I mean, man, it was like kind of a heart attack. If half of those throws, the one to was it Scott that he was like
On
coming
the
like
sideline
back
I don't
like
know
to
what
like
the hell,
make an
yeah.
amazing play, and he was. I mean, it's just a YOLO throw, and it was like a 4-yard gain or something like that. I mean, it's just this. It's an adventure. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it could be entertaining, and I think that you could say Getsy is probably this is probably the type of quarterback that Getsy likes to call offense for, right? Like a lot of this short pass stuff that'll get the ball out of his hands quick. And so, from a play caller perspective, this is probably a decent match, right? Like, that's probably not a terrible idea to match those two. But is that a good match? Like, is that going to work? Like, I don't know the answer to that, but let's give him a full game.
Yeah.
That pass rush from Vegas, that tore up Jordan Love. The last time I watched
Max
him,
Crosby's outstanding. He
Max
is
Crosby's a good football player. I
yeah.
mean, it could be a long day, guys. So,
Yeah.
all right, we'll take a quick break. On the other side of this, we'll do everybody's favorite segment, the Three Bears. Stick with us. All right, Lester, let's talk Three Bears: hot bowl of porridge, cold bowl of porridge, and just right. Who do you have that you'd like to highlight for your hot bowl of porridge?
The defense has to be where you go here because that's all that had anything good here. But so this guy he only played 19 snaps on defense, but somehow he piled up 7 tackles and a tackle for loss, and that's Jack Sanborn.
He was all over the place.
He also had an assist on special teams for tackles. So 19 snaps, getting that much, on the stat sheet. Or we've seen other players in, the last several years, they played a lot and they do nothing. So Sanborn made the most of his time. It kind of makes you thinking like, okay, well, if you got this guy Sanborn who's productive when he plays, did you really need to spend so much money at off-ball linebacker in free agency? It's like I like TJ Edwards. I like Tremaine Edmonds. They're both very good football players, but did you not realize what you have here in Jack Sanborn? If he's going to put up these kind of numbers here in limited time, especially since you knew you weren't in the championship window. This was still the build it up window. So maybe you could have put that money at offensive line, maybe at an edge rusher, maybe at a better D tackle. I mean, we like Andrew Billings, but Justin Jones is okay, but could you have found a better 3 tech possibly? Maybe you would have had the money to get one of the guys from the Commanders because just I don't know the money allocation here possibly it's really old school, and then especially when you can find guys like Jack Sanborn. You can find guys like TJ Edwards, another undrafted guy that the Eagles found. I don't know if that's probably the best way going forward to dump that kind of money into your linebacker core.
It was always a questionable allocation of resources.
Yes.
Right? Like, I mean, we talked about that from the beginning. Like, why are you spending so much money at linebacker, particularly when you shipped off Roquan because you didn't want to pay him that kind of money? And I get it. Your negotiations broke down. Roquan Smith right now looks like he might be paving a path to the Hall of Fame. He's playing that well in Baltimore, so that's kind of rough. But interestingly enough, so Sanborn popped to me. I had him on my list. I also put TJ Edwards down though.
He did have a great game. Yeah, he did.
Right. And so he's still on a tackle record pace. So I want to mention that. I did the stats calculation before. He's still on pace. Now he's slowed down just a little bit from that torrid pace that he was on. Sanborn collected a lot of probably his tackles in this last game, right? Didn't let Edwards get in and clean him up. He recorded a sack for the second straight game. He had a forced on that play. They call it a sack, forced fumble. I just think that was a pick. I think that was a pressure and a pick. That was a weird stat calculation. I wonder if that maybe gets changed officially. And it's probably too late. It's already a day later. But sometimes they'll go back and they'll correct those things. But that to me looked like a pressure and an interception. But what they did was they credited that as a forced fumble and a fumble recovery by Edmonds. So great play there. And then I wanted to ask you, what in the world? Why did they not give him credit for that fumble recovery along the sidelines?
They talked about how they didn't have enough cameras at Soldier Field since it was a noon kick. There was the minimum amount of cameras for TV coverage, so which meant they didn't have enough coverage, enough cameras to cover the angle of the recovery. But I'm like, that still looked like if they call it
on the field,
exactly. But I didn't understand what happened there. I guess someone said on Twitter that they changed it on the field initially, and then the replay was just to make sure. I don't know, the whole process there was just strange to me. I thought the same thing. You need clear evidence to overturn a call, and I thought that was the call. It looked like a recovery to me. I didn't understand the whole thing.
I think we got jobbed on that one. That was
It's a very Bearsy thing to happen. That kind of
yeah,
stuff.
that absolutely looked like a fumble recovery to me. I will say that I also had notes in here. They're maybe not worth a full bowl, so we'll have them split it. But the
Okay.
return game,
Yeah.
right? Like there's the punt returns with Taylor. Like you feel sure-handed, you feel good about it. Valus, the returns that counted looked good. Not a good idea to pick the ball up as it's rolling around in the end zone. Now, again, which was funny because it hit the end zone, I was like, why does that not blown dead? Like that was my initial
Yeah.
thought. Like that's a touchback, and then he starts running around with it, and I'm like, wait, do I not understand the rule? Like there's million thoughts running through my head, and then they place it at the 25. But Velas needs to know that rule as well as anybody, right? And just like, oh, it hit the end zone, it's a touchback. But he kind of panicked and ran to the sideline, and but that didn't count. So he gets at least a little bit of a shout
We'll give
out
him
here. The
a
return
small
game is good.
pass. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the return game is looking good, is what I'm saying. And he's getting a few, both of those guys getting a few snaps on offense, and it's a thing. Cold Bowl. Let's turn it around. What do you got for that? Plenty of options here.
For me, you kind of alluded to it earlier. I'm going to go with my cold bowl is the Bears pass protection, and in particular, it's the play you already highlighted, the first play of the game. Just you come out and empty. The Vikings show pressure from both edges, so the sack happened, and I saw people on Twitter right away. Oh, Larry Borum sucks. It wasn't Larry Borum's guy. He came off the edge. What happens is the pass pro is set based on where the middle linebacker is. So they say, okay, this is the Mike, so now they're going to adjust their pass accordingly because if he comes, they got to account for him. So they were all going to the right. Anything off the left edge, Fields has to know he's hot. And then I saw other stuff on Twitter. It's like, oh well, you should have had your slide to the other way, so that way the first read of Fields, that way the pressure's in his face, he sees it coming. That's not what you do. You set it based off the Mike. The Mike linebacker is who you pick it as. Now we're going to slide that way. They slid to the right. Fields has to know that pressure's coming there. Now look, whether he knew it was there or not, the ball has to be out immediately. Now, could he have looked towards the pressure so is he more aware of it? Yeah, he probably should have done that. If he didn't think he'd get the ball quick enough to the right and he knew pressure was coming from the left, then go that way. There was 3 receivers on that side. He had somewhere he could have went too quickly. Didn't do it. Second play that pissed me off, Darnell Wright. I'm guessing he missed the call because he went out to I think it was the defensive back that was blitzing off the edge, leaving Daniel Hunter big ass for your running back to pick up. You never want to have a little guy blocking a big guy. Even Coach Luce talked about it in the press conference today. That's not ideal. They don't want to have, they want to have big on big when possible. Darnell Wright missed the call there. Again, rookie right tackle. They're going to make mistakes. And then I know a lot of people are blaming Foreman. Foreman can't block the guy. Foreman's not a good pass blocker as it is. That's one of the problems in his game. But I don't like his chances against Daniel Hunter. 6'4", 265, 70 some odd sacks in his NFL career, probably the best pass rusher on the Vikings. I don't want him matched up against Foreman. So those 2 plays, just having those problems, yeah, it's a mistake, but those mistakes can't happen.
I completely agree. Yeah, but rough pass protection game, and again, you had 10 days to prepare
10 days. Oh,
for the Vikings blitzing. It's coming. Like if you've watched any Vikings games, you don't even have to watch Vikings games. You just go to the stats, right? Like you don't even have to turn on the film. You can just go and know that they bring heat, right? So you probably should want to prepare for that. They did not. They clearly did not have enough. Like, and I'm talking everybody, Getsy, clearly not calling a game against a blitz heavy team. Like just did not see a lot of blitz beaters, right? Fields for not having the awareness, for the offensive line making plenty of mistakes. Like it's not easy, but that's actually that's why the Vikings have been gashed so much, is because
They give
teams are
up big
ready for them to
plays.
blitz a lot and they play blitz beaters, and then like if you live that way, you get gashed, right? Like that, against teams that take advantage of it. But if you're a
Move
bad
the
team,
pocket. Yeah.
right? I mean, there's just
Oh,
there's a reason why it, like, oh, well, blitzing's so effective, why don't you just do it 100% of the time? Well,
yeah.
because there's ways to beat it, right? And but they're so over leveraged on blitzing that it should be a team that you can take advantage of. They have
Not,
been so far this year, but not the Bears.
not
That's
the
frustrating.
Bears. Yeah.
That to me is coaching, right?
Yes,
Like
exactly.
you can't convince me that the Bears are so uh, you know, have such a talent deficit on the offense this year. Like, it's just not the case. They have good players, but it comes down to coaching. So I completely agree with you. I have to at least mention the snaps once again. They continue to get cold bowls of porridge.
I
It's
saved
rough,
that for
man.
you. Yeah, I saved it
It's
for you.
rough.
This one. Yeah.
It's rough. Oh, I thought you might bring it up because you have been kind of downplaying it for
I am
a year.
out on Cody Whitehair center experience. I am officially over this. He's had his chance. Coach Flus had some. I don't know what he was talking about. They switched because Patrick has more experience. Like, what are you doing, dude? I get it. You want to protect your guy. You don't want to say I benched him because that's not. You don't do that to a veteran. I get it. So I understand that, but just figure out something better. Because then they asked Bajan. Of course, the media was all over that. As soon
Right.
as Bajan gets up there, oh, can you explain? Do you have more experience with Patrick? Is he more comfortable having him snapping the ball? And he said, no, I don't have more experience with either one of those guys because I work with the scout team all days. But I do try and take snaps from both guys here and there. So yeah, it's fine. But I
Yeah.
just don't understand
He's
it.
like, Dan Feeney's my guy. What are you talking about?
And speaking of, where the hell's Dan Feeney?
This
If
is what I'm
Brian Poles
saying.
spends a 6-round pick on this guy,
Bring the
oh
mullet.
man,
Bring the
yeah,
mullet out.
bring the mullet
I want to
in.
see Feeney next week. This is. I'm not saying he's going to be good. I just want to see him. Let's get Feeney in there. Let's
The
give him
other
some time.
guys are bad. So
Uh, yeah. All right. That's what I got. What about just right?
just right. I'm going to go with Deontay Foreman. 15 carries, 65 yards, 4.3 yards per carry. I thought he ran hard. I thought he was physical. He was moving the pile there on occasion. Him and Darrington Evans, both backs had a pretty good game. They didn't stick with the run as much as I thought they should have, but I thought Foreman looked close, man. There was a few times where I thought he was going to break something, and he seemed to take the loss hard after the game. He put a lot of on himself for not breaking some of those tackles. So, but I think the Bears running game will be fine moving forward. Lean on it, especially if Bajan's your guy now. You lean on this. More Foreman, more fullback. Just pound the rock. Let Bajan kind of let the game come to him. And I think it's going to be a big game out of Foreman next week.
Yeah, I had Foreman written down as well. 15 carries, 65 yards, 4.3 yards per carry. It's exactly what you expect out of a guy like that. And like you say, very close to breaking a few. That would have really changed the course of that game.
Yeah.
Saw that a lot around the league yesterday, actually. There was a lot of like, oh, almost like defense kind of dominated for the most part yesterday. But just so like, oh, just fingertip away from a big catch, or oh, that guy just tripped, just enough, right? So pretty interesting. And the Bears had a couple of those. I also wanted to mention Cairo Santos hitting a 53-yarder, and he's been great on kickoffs this year. He's just been nails, 10 for 10 and field goals. It also allows me to bring up and give me an opportunity to give another cold bowl of porridge because I didn't in the previous segment here. 22-yard field goal means that the Bears kicked from the 5-yard line. No, I'm sorry. I know it's a defensive head coach, but absolutely not. You got to get that out. Like, you have to have the mentality that you get goal to goal situations that you're going to go for it. Like, you are going to play call in a way that you're going to use all 4 downs to try to get a touchdown, because and again, I know some people don't love analytics, but if you just turn the ball over and it's inside the 5-yard line, the expectation for most of those drives is that they're backed up. They're going to try to run to get out. You're likely going to stop them, and you're going to force a punt. And you're going to have good field position.
Yep.
You may even get a safety and get the ball back. Like, there's a lot more good things that can happen when you pin a team down inside the 5. And so to me, like, getting 3 points early in the game. No. Get the 7 or turn it over and play some defense and get the ball back and like have an aggressive mentality. But 22-yard field goal should not be in your vocabulary. Do not like it.
Man, we're already on the good bowl here, and you're already just right, and you're going back to cold. You're so
I
pissed
had
off.
to. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Do you have something else good to say the end on? Because like we kind of
I
came in it
mean,
there, right?
there's really not much. I mean, but like you said, the Santos man, no misses all year. His kickoffs have been strong. There was a lot of talk off season. Oh, he's who was that guy they signed? I don't remember his
Oh,
name now.
Schmidt, like
Schmitz, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, this is the new guy. Santos sucks. We'll see what happens. Santos has been good this year. Not a lot of consistency on this Bears team, but he's the one guy that you can always count on. So, and again, over 50-yarder. Again, that was a knock on him early in his career. Oh, he can't make the long one, but the last 3 or 4 years, he's gotten much better there. So, is there anything else we can end on? I don't want to end on a kicker all the time.
You don't want to end on a kicker?
Go through your notes. What do you got positive here? Something's got to be good.
Boy, I did not have a lot of positive things. That's the hard thing. Jalen Johnson, looked okay at times. How's that?
He did look okay. Oh, did you see Jalen Johnson? They asked him today about possible trade block. He said, "Of course, I'm aware of it. I know the deal, so there could be some trades. I mean, if I was the Bears, again, I'm not sure how much Ryan Poles is secure in his job status, but if he's pretty comfortable, maybe he does start making some moves and start selling guys off. And because I think Jalen Johnson, he'll fetch something in return. So there's a couple guys on this roster. You think, okay, let's see who needs a vet. Maybe they can make some moves and pull some draft picks in. But again, if Poles is not secure, why would he care? If he's like, well, if I'm going to get fired anyway, what's the point?
So here's the argument, right? Is that your seasons, you're not going to be in the playoffs, right? Like, I mean, you're at this point, record wise, how they played, you've pretty much told yourself, like, okay, I know where this is going. So you say, okay, well, is this a situation where we're going to be active in free agency next year, or we're going to let our players walk and sign elsewhere and try to get a comp pick? Well, this team's going to be active in free agency next year, regardless of who's making the decisions, because they got all kinds of money. They're still going to own next offseason. So it doesn't make any sense for you to like let players walk, right? So if there's anybody that's that's going to be a free agent next year, which Jalen would be, and you don't think he's going to be part of your future, then you move on.
You got
That's the argument. Now, I like Jalen Johnson, but
Same.
if that's the determination that you don't want to give him a contract, and you have enough juice still in the building that you're allowed to make decisions like that, then yeah, you're going to be on the phone and you should be moving pieces. Now, it's not going to make fans happy to continue to sell off good players, but you're already bad as the theme of the show. And so at this point, you kind of want to continue to be bad for ensuring high draft picks so that you can try to lock down some blue chip players.
Yeah, players and coaches won't tank, but the front office can certainly tank by making moves and setting you up to not be as successful as you currently are with your 1-win team. So, man, this show sucked.
Man,
so much
it
bad.
Is a boring, lame, ridiculous waste of a season.
There it is.
All right. Well, we'll end it there. Despite the record, we're still around. We're still creating content. We're still hanging out with you. And we are going to continue to do that on the YouTube to check on the questions and comments. If you're listening to this on the podcast and want to join us every Monday at 6 o'clock. Although next week, you're going to be joined by a special guest. Taylor Dahl is going to be taking my place. She's going to be filling in for me. And then you are going to be filling in for me on Bears Over Beers next Wednesday with EJ. You even have a beverage that you are going to bring on that people are going to want to join just to watch you drink this beverage. I will tell you guys that. But anything else going on you want to highlight before we get out of here?
I'm a little nervous now because now I'm going to have to drink the whole thing while I'm on air with EJ next Wednesday. So now it's like you said, we got no matter what's going on with the Bears, we got stuff popping. I know Jacob has a mock draft already and ready this week because right now the Bears are 1-2. So let's take a look at what's out there.
This is a well, I was going to use a not appropriate term, but this is a dream scenario for Jacob Infante, who
Yes.
loves the draft and will have endless possibilities to play with the mock draft simulator and show all of the things that you can do with the number one and number two picks. But make sure you're checking that out. Make sure you're checking out the rest of our shows. And until next week, do your best, take care of your mentals, and bear down.
Thanks, guys. Tough one this week.
It was tough, man.
It's just not even fun. I mean, last year was fun. Apathy, it is. But I'm still going to watch them every week because that's what I do. Even if I wasn't doing this, like I wasn't a Windy City Guerrero or whatever, I'd still be watching the Bears because that's what I do. Because I no longer watch baseball. I no longer watch basketball much. It's this. I'm football now. That's what I do. So I'd still be watching this stupid team regardless. But it is unwatchable. Apathy for sure.
I mean, you just felt like when they moved on, to this new regime was like, okay, like, we got to just cut out all the rot, right? Like, just, you got to just, okay, like we get it. We will take this 1 year where we're going to be bad. You're telling us we're going to be bad. I get it. We're with you. And then you're like, all right, we're signing guys. We're going to be good. And you're like, well, I mean, okay, I'm not quite sure I understand where you're spending your money, but like, cool. Like I get it. And then this, somehow you're worse.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think I just ignored so much of the bad last year because I was like, well, they just don't have the players. What can you do as a coach, right? And now I'm like, no, you can't make that mistake. You can't make that excuse anymore. You're just bad coaches.
Yeah.
Uh,
The defense did play
so
good, though. I mean, I will say that the defense played pretty good, but this better not happen. I swear.
I can't see it. I really can't.
It just seems like Coach Eberflus is like he's just out of his depth. I mean, he seems like he's just one of those guys that never should have been given this chance. Now that he has it, and, you could see why the Bears were sold on him. Obviously, the defense guy, that Tampa 2 stuff. You get it, but now we're like, yeah, this guy. What do you do here?
I mean, what? What is this comment?
Cloudy's got to be joking. I hope he's not being serious.
I mean, I hope that this person is like writing fiction for a living because that is one of the craziest things that I have ever. What are you even talking about?
Yeah, I think Cloudy's got to be clowning because those snaps, like I said, I'm out on White here. I mean, I was the guy. Maybe we'll give him a chance, let him get a weekend. He was supposed to be the guy, but yeah, he's. And then there's another thing. You're clearly having snapping issues out of the shotgun. So why are you calling a shotgun every? Get your ass under center
for a lot of reasons, and I don't know. Maybe it's modern NFL, so like so much is run under the gun, but man, I love under center, like to the run game, right? You get in the rhythm, you see the field as you're backing up. Like it just seems like as a quarterback, you'd want to be under center a lot more. And so many of those runs, I think, just work better when you're under center. And then all of the play action and everything that happens off of that, like it just seems like your playbook is so much more expansive if you're under center more often. And they're just not.
It allows you to be more deceptive with the ball. And this week would have been perfect because you want to run the ball as much as possible because they're going to blitz you all the time. You want to run the ball, catch him with some draws, catch him with some screens, max protect. You're going to max protect better when you got it all packed in. And then, like I said, let your guys leak out late if the pressure is not there. But this plan, I did not understand this game plan at all. It made no sense to me.
I'm pretty sure I bet the over on Foreman this week anyway for the rushing yards. I think it was set at like 45 or 50 or something like that. I thought that was easy money. Now, didn't look like he was going to get it, but they gave him some carries late to go over. But I think that I don't know what it'll be this week, but I think it's probably a good bet to. They're going to have to feed him, and I don't know where Roshan's at with his concussion recovery either. So if Roshan comes back, that might be split up a little bit more. I know they want to get him more, and he's a more complete back, like you said. Foreman's game is not blitz pickup, which going into playing the Vikings, I mean that's a pretty bad outcome, right? He's like, oh crap, we got to rely on Foreman to pick up these blitzes. You are welcome, Bruja7. We aim to please. Most popular guy in Chicago is the backup quarterback.
Always, yeah.
Always. It'll be interesting to see how fast people turn on Bagent, and let's see how much of a leash he has. And then what is Peterman going to be? Well, let's see what this Peterman guy has. Don't look at his stat sheet.
I think if it was like a more experienced veteran, like a Brian Hoyer type guy, instead of Peterman, I think that maybe the leash on Bagent would be shorter. But yeah,
he's got the story. It's going to be Brian Hoyer versus Tyson Bagent.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
That's the funny thing. Yeah. Is that somehow Hoyer popped up in Vegas. I didn't even know he was there. Which makes sense. McDaniel's guy, right? Yeah. And then it looks like Jimmy's probably gonna be out. So
yeah, he went to the hospital for his back. I don't think they said what is wrong, but I mean, if you're going to the hospital for a back injury, speaking of Hoyer, I always thought Hoyer should have been the bridge guy.
100%. Yes.
Like, why are we trying to? It was the game that they were trying to play at the time, but I'm like, what are we doing here? Just give it to Hoyer.
Oh, the smoke screen.
Oh God.
Oh my God. I'm still angry about that. I'm still angry about the Mike Glennon contract.
Yeah, you hated Glennon's.
I hated it from the start, but it was like, oh, okay, that's what you're doing. You see something, you're scouted this guy, you believe in this guy. Okay, whatever. I don't see it, but like, let's see. Yeah. And then it was a smoke screen. Because you didn't want people to know you were drafting a quarterback, you were at number 3. Like that's the Ryan Pace.
The process was so bad. Yeah.
It was so stupid.
You're picking at 3.
Right. The guy was in the building. It was fine. Yeah.
Could have had him. If they would have kept Hoyer, right? They keep Hoyer. They stay at 3. Cleveland does come up and get Trubisky. Now you're stuck with Mahomes, who is
how terrible. And you don't have to play him right away because Hoyer's a guy that can get you through part of the season, or sometimes you need to be protected from yourself.
Yeah,
and that's the Chicago Bears. But they had conviction, Lester. They had conviction. Yeah, I think that Cloudy brings up this. I mentioned this in one of our little side chat conversations that some Bears fans may have some post Trubisky stress syndrome, PTSD, and they're scouting the helmet, right? Like I've heard some negative things about May just because he goes to UNC. I'm not a scout the helmet guy. I just you gotta think about these guys independent of their school. What was Texas Tech before Mahomes? What was whatever. Like, name the guy. It just is like these quarterbacks. Just you can't judge them based on the school they go to. It's not like Iowa tight ends or corners from Miami, right? Like, I mean, it's not like schools are good at one thing. It's quarterbacks are weird. They're their own thing.
Yep.
Yeah, man, you guys got a lot of comments going. At least there's no arguing in the comments today.
And no Don from Detroit either. He hasn't popped in.
He's probably busy celebrating a win.
Yeah. Lions look good. They look like they may be the best team in the NFC.
Is this the return date is for Fields? Because I don't think we know yet. It's from what we know, it could be a week. I mean, so they said doubtful, and when you hear that word, that means he's almost certainly out. Yeah. Like that, like doubtful is this early in the week is code for like this guy's not playing this week. But they're letting the swelling go down before they assess the full damage. That's pretty typical. We've heard anywhere from it's all about gripping the football. We've heard anywhere from our medical expert Mason that hey, it could be a week or two, or it could be 5-6 weeks, or it could be surgery and he's out for the year. Right? I mean, we just really don't know. Not worth speculating on at this point.
You're just talking about you being away. Now it's you're off for another race, right?
Well, I'm on vacation.
Work.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to continue to do these races on Saturdays, but we're doing vacation and I'm out. So I'm taking my own personal bye week. This team is stressful enough, or be about halfway through the year. I'm taking my own bye week, and it's going to help me get through the year. And I'm going to be in New York. I'm not going to rush back to talk about some crappy Bears game.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going to go eat a bagel or whatever you do in New York.
No, it's going to be fun next week. It's like you said, Taylor's going to be on the show. The only thing I have to do, I have to run the board. I have to do the producing side of things, and then I'll be on with EJ, and I'll have to do the board there too, won't I? Damn it, I am going to have to do the whole thing. That's fine.
Maybe Taylor can run the board next week.
We'll see. I don't want to put too much on her plate. She's the guest. I got to be polite and just kind of, I have to do the right thing. I'll be fine. We're fun. It'll be fun, though. I'm actually looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting, a nice change of pace. Bears probably going to lose again, so it'll be nice to have something new going on. So it'll be interesting.
I mean, I don't know who's in right now.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, we're fans, but I was telling JB before we got on, it's like if there's another consultant brought in, if George McCaskey does another consulting thing where he can't let Kevin Warren do his job, I'm gonna find the AFC team and I'll still be a Bears guy, but I'm gonna have a secondary allegiance just so I can enjoy my Sundays more.
I've done that for a long time.
You're a Charger guy, right? You like the Chargers?
I've bounced around many times. I really liked Andrew Luck, and so I cheered for the Colts with Luck, which was rough because he got beat up a lot, right? And then I've always kind of been with Tomlinson. Tomlinson was my guy, and they drafted Breeze and Tomlinson. I like Breeze, and so the Chargers were my secondary team for quite a while. So a lot of times it's an AFC team because I don't feel comfortable rooting for an NFC team.
Yeah.
And then it's just it's a team that usually doesn't have a huge following. I can't, there's just certain teams I just kind of shy away from anyway. It's not like I'm going to become a Steelers fan or something, you know what I mean? But the Mike McDaniel thing is real. I really like him as a guy, and I kind of planted my flag there early on this year. It was the first bet I made this year was Dolphins win the division, and I listened to the play callers with Jordan Rodriguez did a very nice podcast series, and he's got an edge to him, and I like that. I just kind of identify with it. I don't know, not that I feel any kind of we're very different people, but there's enough of a I recognize that. I get what that is. And so I just become a Mike McDaniel fan, and he coaches the Dolphins. And so I've been cheering for the Dolphins this year, and I got to tell you, that's pretty fun.
It's a fun offense to watch. I mean, they do some ridiculous stuff, so much speed. Chase Claypool was inactive, so.
Yeah, that was maybe not my favorite move, but but yeah, they're really fun on offense, and they got Vic on defense, which that'll come together. It's not quite there, but they've got some dudes there too. But yeah, I think that look, I watch a lot of football. We've talked about this. I don't watch any college, and so I don't feel bad about watching every Thursday night game, every Monday night game, every Sunday night game. I watch noon games. I watch watch 5-6 NFL games a week. And then if there's something that I can't watch live, I'll go watch it and replay, and you add that up over a year, it's a couple hundred games, I watch a lot of football. And so for you to just be for me, the Bears are not enough.
Yeah.
Now, if they were winning all the time, I probably wouldn't feel this need to go out and find, but when they're bad, like I just watch so much football. It's just like I can't just be like, oh, I can only watch this bad football team, you know. And I think that's okay. Like, I'm an NFL fan and I'm a Bears fan, but I don't think I need to limit myself to just one crappy football team.
That's good. No, it's good. Yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of football too. I just want that other one if it'll happen. Or maybe I get
Yeah.
the Rob Lowe NFL hat. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
just go ahead and get one of those. Yeah, I'll be that guy.
Well, you'll have to keep us posted on what you're going to pick because I'm curious to see how this goes. And then,
Well,
like,
it's up to George. It's up to George McCaskey. If he does the consultant thing again, I'm like, I can't go through that again. Like, are you kidding me? I got to find somewhere else to have some
I
football
want to
joy.
know what the process is, and I want to know, like, are you actually going to buy like a gear, right?
No,
Like, are you going to be
I don't think I'll
committed
go that
enough to
far.
buy something else? Or if someone sent you something, would you wear it? Because I know you don't like to buy things,
Yeah,
right?
I'm cheap. Probably no. It's that's like taking it too far. Then I feel like I'm cheating on my team. I couldn't do that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I mean, I'd love to see you in some teal and
Oh man.
orange. You
Yeah, I
know,
don't know about that.
that would be fantastic.
Well, with any luck, it's going to be the Kevin Warren show this offseason. It'll be whatever he wants to do. Hey, sink or swim. He may suck for all we know. He may do all the bad choices, but at least it's not the same process. It'll be a new process, and if with any luck, it's going to be all on the same timeline. GM, head coach, quarterback. As much as I want to see Fields succeed, just doesn't look like it's going to happen.
I think aligning the general manager with the head coach with the quarterback would be a nice change of pace. It is something that has not happened. They would have the opportunity to do it. There's a couple of offensive coordinators out there right now that are very interesting. That is not just one guy. Like there's two, three, four guys that it's like, oh, these guys could be pretty interesting head coaches. I mean that, and you've got two quarterbacks that people are really excited about. I mean, it's the perfect time to do it.
Yep.
I like Justin Fields a lot. So it sucks. Like I'm not happy about it. Like, we've talked about this 100 times with Trubisky to Fields and how we felt different about, you and I felt different about Trubisky. We were both really excited about Justin Fields.
Yeah.
It may be just circumstances, you're right. I mean, it may just be this misalignment, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen for him here.
It's too bad.
Yep. So, all right, guys. Well, we'll get out of here. I appreciate you hanging out with us and filling the comment section up. And yeah, we'll be here every week. So come hang out with us and get your therapy in. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.